So, you're thinking about a life in Canada, right? You're looking for a good job, a solid community, and let's be real, a house you can actually afford. Well, what if the answer is somewhere you haven't really thought about? Today, we're going to dig into whether Manitoba is the path for you. Let's get into it. Okay, let's kick things off with this because it's a huge statement. Dara Immigration Services says, to choose Manitoba is to choose the most accessible path to permanent residence in Canada. Wow. I mean, that's a pretty bold claim, right? But stick with me because we're going to see that it's actually backed up by a very specific and pretty powerful immigration program. And really, this is the choice that so many people are wrestling with, isn't it? On one hand, you've got what we're calling the Manitoba dream. The idea that you could own a detached home, maybe even on just one income, that's almost unheard of these days. And then on the other side, well, that's the struggle in the big cities. Insane housing prices, bidding wars, it's just nonstop competition. It's a huge difference, and it really gets to the core of why Manitoba is even on the table for so many. So you're probably asking, how can Manitoba actually deliver on this promise? Well, it all starts with its economy. Let's take a look at the engine that's making all this possible. You know, some places ride this wild economic roller coaster. One minute it's a boom, the next it's a bust. Manitoba, not so much. Its economy is all about stability because it's so diverse. You've got advanced manufacturing, a huge aerospace sector. We're talking Boeing Canada, plus massive agribusiness, and because of where it is, it's a major logistics hub for North America. So this isn't just a random list of industries. No, it's a recipe for a super stable, long-term job market. Okay, so here's the secret sauce. It's called the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, or MPNP. And get this, Manitoba actually invented this kind of program. They were the pioneers. The whole idea is to look past just your points on a test and fast-track people who have a real, genuine connection to the province. It's how they find the skilled workers they need. And I can't stress this enough. That connection is everything. Your application literally jumps to the front of the line. If you have a friend or a relative in Manitoba, they have an official term for it, a Manitoba supporter. Same goes if you've worked there before or got a special invite. So it's not just about what's on your resume, it's about having real roots, or at least the start of them, in the province. And here's the proof in the pudding, right? This is what that stable economy we were talking about looks like in real numbers. Just look at this chart. Manitoba's unemployment rate is consistently hanging out between 4 and 5%. That's often a whole percentage point lower than the national average. And if you're a newcomer, that's not just a boring statistic. That number means jobs. It means opportunity and a real sense of security. Okay, so we've covered the why, stable economy, great immigration program. Now let's talk about the where. Let's actually map out what a new life in Manitoba could look like. For the vast majority of people, all roads lead to Winnipeg. I mean, over 60% of the entire province lives there. It's the absolute heart of everything, the economy, the culture. You've got major companies and amazing places like the Museum for Human Rights. But the cool thing is, it somehow still has this friendly, small-town vibe that people just fall in love with. But hey, don't think Winnipeg is your only choice. There's also Brandon, known as the Wheat City, which is a big deal in the agriculture world. And you've got these smaller towns like Steinbach and Winkler that are just booming. And here's a key tip. Because these places are growing so fast, they often have labor shortages. And what does that mean for you? Well, it could mean an even easier path to finding a fantastic job. I love this chart because it just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the rent for a one-bedroom. In Winnipeg, you're looking at around $14.50. Go to Brandon or Steinbach, and it's even cheaper. That's amazing. But, and it's a big but, you gotta look at that last column. The average winter low. Yeah, -21, -22, even -29 in Thompson. It's cold, there's no sugarcoating it, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle you have to consider. All right, let's switch gears and get super practical. We've talked about the why and the where. Now, let's talk about the how. Think of this next part as your step-by-step guide from what you need to do before you even get on the plane to your first week in your new home. Okay, step 1, your pre-arrival checklist. 2 things here are absolutely critical. First, that connection. Remember the Manitoba supporter? Finding one is probably the single best thing you can do for your application, seriously. And number 2, and I am not kidding about this, you have to budget for winter clothes. Proper parka-grade gear. It's not optional. It's an investment in your survival and comfort. So what does that mean in terms of money? Well, you should plan on budgeting around $500 per person for the essentials. We're talking a really good parka, insulated boots, proper gloves, all the layers. It adds up fast. Trust me, underestimating the cold is the #1 mistake people make. Okay, so you've landed step 2, your first week essentials. This is your action plan. First, get your health card. And here's some amazing news. For permanent residents, your coverage starts on day 1. No waiting period like in some other provinces. Huge. Next, grab a PEGO card. That's for the bus system in Winnipeg. And then make it a priority to visit a place called Manitoba Start. Their career coaching and job matching services are free for newcomers and are, honestly, a total game changer.
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on the good stuff, and it is really good. But for you to make a real decision, we have to be brutally honest about the challenges too. So let's talk about the reality, the things you absolutely need to know if you want to succeed there. So the first reality is the cold, the deep freeze. And we're not talking a little chilly. Winters are long, and temperatures hitting -30°C. That's just a normal day. Exposed skin can literally freeze in minutes. But here's the thing. The strategy isn't to hide from it. It's to embrace the culture. You learn to dress in layers. You use the amazing indoor tunnels in downtown Winnipeg. And you actually go out and enjoy the winter festivals. You adapt, you don't hibernate.
And the other challenge we need to talk about is safety. The reality is that Winnipeg's crime index is higher than the national average, particularly for things like property crime. But again, there's a clear strategy here. Research where you're going to live. Do your homework on neighborhoods. There are lots of very safe areas that are super popular with families, places like Bridgewater, Sage Creek, or Tuxedo. It's all about making an informed choice.
So at the end of the day, that's the deal. That's the trade-off. On one hand, Manitoba's offering something that's becoming incredibly rare in Canada, real economic stability and a clear path to owning your own home. But on the other hand, it asks for something in return. It asks for resilience to handle the cold, and the common sense to be proactive about where you choose to live. So the final question is really just for you. Is this your path forward?